My name is Harry. I'm from London.
Meghan Markle here.
Today is April 28, 2026. It is 3:33 a.m. So it took me a while to create a list for you guys because I finished editing everything that I recorded from Friday, I think Saturday. I edited everything. Everything is out. So I had to create new list and it took me about an hour. I came up with, I'm probably gonna have 3 videos because I sort of arranged them in a way. The first video we're gonna cover of Charles going to the US. Some squaddies were talking about it, so I shuffled through, grabbed some stuff for you guys. And possibly the second video will be about Meghan. That will be on PYTE. And if I have time, maybe a third video is about Angela Jolie and Zahara, which I did a video yesterday or the day before when I came across. I stumbled on I think like a phone video that happened to come on my timeline, and I did the video for you guys. There's the thumbnails of it. Zahara giving a speech at her school. And then now I'm seeing a lot of tweets talking about it. So that might be another video by itself because there's a lot of tweets, and there were some of the tweets are very in a positive way. All right, so let's cover Charles. All right, so the first tweet is going to be about Charles. And I hope to go through it really quick. All right, so this is the first tweet. He didn't even welcome them, nor send any senior political figure for meet and greet, just organize them on Uber. I don't know. I got dragged on Twitter because I'm like, oh, Trump didn't even come and welcome them. And then I got dragged and they said, oh, you, because I forgot what I said on the tweet, yeah, Trump didn't even come and welcome them. And then someone said, oh, you live in the US, you should know the president don't go to the tarmac. I don't care. I don't watch this stuff. So I just leave it alone. I didn't block. I didn't respond. I just left it alone. All right. So let's watch this. So sometimes you have to know where your battle is because I never watched and I said it and I stand by it and I didn't know. So whatever. I left it alone. So let's watch. There'll be screenshot, obviously. Wait a second. I'm gonna mute it. Shouldn't they? Okay, I'm probably gonna get dragged for what I'm about to say. Okay. 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 So I let it play. I'm not sure. Did they play the UK's national anthem? I don't know. I didn't hear it. I heard the US part. Alright, so that's that. Let me read some of the comments for you guys. Very strange, but I freaking love it. So the band didn't play God Bless the King. Oh, okay. I don't know. See, I didn't even read the comment. I don't know. Or maybe it's the edit. The person then mention and then include the part that let me ask Google. Let me pause and ask Google. Okay, I think it's probably the edit. I asked Google, did the US play the UK national anthem when King Charles visited the US in 2026? I had to put the year. You know, it says yes. The British national anthem, God Save the King, was played alongside the American national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner, during King Charles III's state visit to the US in April 2026. According to Reuters report, both anthems were played by a choir at a garden party. Garden party at the British ambassador's residence. Okay. Alright, so that's where they played. Now I'm gonna ask where? At the airport, maybe? Did the US play the US national anthem? King Charles at the airport. Let's just add at the airport. It says yes as well. Okay. Military base in Maryland, April 27, which was yesterday. A U.S. military band played both the British national anthem, God Save the King, and the American national anthem. So they played, it's probably the edit that then included. I think it's the edit. All right, so let's leave that alone. All right, I always have to somewhat verify. Look it up. Okay, next tweet. I think it's the edit. I heard the U.S. national anthem, but I didn't hear the U.K., so it's probably because of the edit. All right, so there's this. Camilla Parker Bowles, zero grace, so awkward. Charles treat her like she hardly exists, always leaving her behind. It's poetic justice. How low the monarchy has fallen with these two. All right, 29 seconds. Oops. Alright, so that's that. A common as thus. They all treat their wives like that except Harry. That is true. There was something I saw, not tonight, but a couple days ago. When after the election, when they were transferring from when the vice president, what's his name, the one for Trump, I forgot it, Vance was meeting with Kamala Harris, I guess at their residence, to transfer, the process of transferring residence. They show a picture of Vance leaving the wife behind, and it's Kamala Harris' husband who sort of point to Vance, your wife, get your wife, wait for your wife, or something like that. It's all of them. It's all of them. All right, they all treat their wives like that, except Harry. Really does same with Wadey. He thinks Daddy's example is a good one. King Tampon's hose and the king of MAGA's hose are having a hoedown in MAGA White House. That is true. To be fair, it's not just Camilla. He's always been like this. He's the important one. Everybody else must follow behind, especially women. Get out of the cars by themselves. Get up or down steps and heels or long dresses. William has learned it from him too. That is true. All right, let's go to the next tweet. There's more comments, but I don't want to spend too much time on this. Give myself work editing. Next tweet. All right, so there's that. LOL. British media working hard to explain away the lack of public interest in King George's visit. Okay, the reason for some of you who might say, why did she write King George? Well, the reason is that before Charles came to the U.S., they were asking a politician in the U.S., a journalist was asking a U.S. politician about, instead of saying King Charles, the journalist said King George. Okay? I have it in some past videos. All right, but let's listen.
Well, if being in Washington has taught us anything, Ben Leo, it's that anything can happen at any time. As evidenced particularly over the weekend on Saturday night with that assassination attempt, the perpetrator in court this morning being charged.
Pretty much a good portion of Americans thought whatever happened on Saturday was a performance, okay? when I think of about performance, entertainment, and things like that, I think of Bojo's sister because she warned us.
I find it hard to see who is the winner here. I mean, Prince Harry goading the press is only and forcing the press into humiliating payouts is not going to be particularly good for the Sussexes. And it's certainly not great for the press, which is on the hook. I think the total payouts for phone hacking and other illegal information gathering is up to $1 billion, and there are many, many more cases to try. So my point about all this is, I think we only have losers here, and it's in all our interests that we have a strong, vigorous, and honest press. And if it was strong, vigorous, and honest, I agree that the press would have reported more on the judgment, the Prince Harry judgment that came through on Friday, than it did. It was basically a broadcast story, far more than it was a print story. And of course, the print and broadcast are in competition, so you can sort of understand that. So my question is, who wins out of this? Has Prince Harry done the press lasting damage? Do you think that as a result of the judgment that went against Mirror Group newspapers, we're going to see some sort of state regulation of the press? I genuinely hope not. I don't want the press to be in a last chance saloon at all. I want to see newspapers thrive. This is my industry, and I think it's in all our interests that we have a thrive. And we've got the most wonderful newspapers in the world in this country. You read the newspapers in the States or in France, they're very dull. They're not entertaining at all. I think that we can have both a serious and an entertaining press. And that's what I want to see survive. I don't want to see Prince Harry destroy the industry I love.
Sometimes you have to listen to these people. They're literally telling you the plan. All right? It's performance, entertainment. At that time, we didn't have Trump, so things were serious. Every department, wherever in the U.S., they all were taking care of their respective businesses. All right? When Bojo's sister was saying things about the U.S. and France, the journalism is not entertaining enough. All right, so now the U.S. completely turned into entertainment. I don't know what's happening in France, but I have said in the past, France better be ready, because the U.S. have already turned everything into entertainment. However, the people are suffering. But to conclude what I was saying, pretty much whatever had happened on Saturday, I think it's something journalism dinner or something like that. It was majority of American thought it was entertainment. Okay, it was a fake. They staged it, and people were saying, "Oh, why they pulling out the vice president instead of the president itself?" And later on, I come across a picture where Trump was like behind the scene, just watching everything, the chaos. He was just watching the chaos. But let's continue.
Now that has somewhat overshadowed the topic that I think we would all have been talking about today, which would have been the special relationship between our two countries. But Cameron, I believe that we will now pivot narratively to talk about that. I think this whole town now will become much more engaged in this relationship between our two countries.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as soon as we see pictures of the King and Queen in Washington, D.C., at the White House, with President Trump, with First Lady Melania, I think Americans will start to take notice. I think it's been dominated, hasn't it, over the weekend by quite a bad news story. This is an excuse and an opportunity to really perhaps celebrate a relationship which spans more than 250 years in some cases. But the whole point of this state visit is celebrating that joint friendship and the commemoration of the Declaration of Independence, 250 years of the United States of America. And
okay, whatever. So let me read what's there and then move on. 99.9% of Americans don't care about the British king. I'm telling you. Okay, oh my God, laughing my ass off. So let me get this straight. Harry and Meghan were viciously bullied for an entire month ahead of their Australia visit, and that still resulted in wall-to-wall media coverage before, during, and even after their 4-day trip. And And here, the literal king and queen of the UK, being in Washington, still hasn't gotten any level of excitement on the ground or even in most quarters of the sycophantic press, laughing my ass off. That's pretty much it. The attempt on Trump's life only happened this weekend. What's the excuse for a lack on the ground or media excitement in the days or weeks prior to the arrival of Charles and Camilla? The way these sycophants try to justify the complete and total lack of excitement for Charles and Camilla is diabolical. Don't forget, Charles and Camilla will be visiting areas that are normally full of tourism. New York City 9/11 Memorial, for instance. They deliberately pick areas where you are bound to come across crowds. Well, to tell you the truth, I guess it's a good place to visit since you are here. But still, let's leave that alone. Let's go to the next one. All right, let me see. Did I skip something? I think I've already skipped something. Let me pause. I think I've almost skipped that. If I did, let me just play it again. All right, Camilla Parker Bowles. Okay, I think I did. Camilla Parker Bowles, Zero Grace, so awkward. Charles Street. Okay, I think I did. But just in case, I think I did. I thought I skipped it, but just in case. Because I don't want to come back to these things again. So that's that. Let me get the next tweet ready. Yeah, I think I did. They were talking about William treating... Alright, so that's that. Alright, a common as does. They all treat their wives like this except Harry. Okay, I think I covered it. I thought I skipped it. Alright, let's go to the next one. Alright, so there's more of the coverage here. They are at the White House with a state visit to cover, but let's push the Harry and Meghan narrative that will get the most clicks. At least we got one fact. 4 years without seeing his grandchildren, totally a choice. Fragmore Cottage made that clear. Alright, 44 seconds.
This is the first time in a very long time, but we've had the King, Harry, Meghan, and the 2 children in the same country at the same time.
Different
and
state.
As far as I'm aware, they're not seeing each other.
Well, I suspect the King will be too busy, really, to do any sort of extracurricular visits outside.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he's the king. He can probably decide his schedule. If I was the king, I'd be deciding what I didn't do, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I just
It's an excuse, though, isn't it? It's an excuse. Oh, I'm the king. I'm too busy to see my son and my grandchildren.
I know, but can you imagine if he did fly across California unexpectedly? The whole state visit would be overshadowed. So I don't think Keir Starmer would be too happy about that one.
He wouldn't go unexpectedly, but my point being that if he really wanted to see his kids and his grandchildren, he could make it happen. It's an excuse, isn't it, to say I'm the king, I'm too busy.
This is the first time.
The woman is right. The woman is right. If he really wanted to, he would have made it happen. And by the way, when you look at the U.S. map, okay, let's look. U.S. map. Completely opposite. All right across the country. Okay? I'll enlarge it when I'm editing. What is it? Charles is somewhere on the East Coast, right here. D.C., somewhere over here. And Harry and Meghan literally across the country. It will take them 5 hours. At least 5 hours, okay? Let's ask Google. How long? Let me pause, okay? Because I don't want... Oh, I didn't even pause it. Okay, I write to Google. How long to fly from DC to California? The flight from Washington to California typically take between 5 to 6.5 hours. Okay, direct flight. 5 to 6 hours. So literally across the country. Then again, what the lady said, if Charles wanted that to happen, it would have happened. It doesn't have to be in public. He could say, okay, after this particular time, okay, we're gonna meet. Off without any videos or whatever. But Charles is not about that. Okay, Bev is really pushing for the family story, calling Charles' use of the state visit as an excuse. And she's right, but so is Cameron. Okay, Charles is using the state visit as an excuse not to see Harry. But also, if Charles does see Harry, then whatever was done during the state visit, even if it goes smoothly, will be blasted off the front page in favor of the father-son reunion story. That is true as well. Then again, you don't have to, bring cameras along. Things can be done. How many times Harry have flown to the UK? Nobody knew. But if Charles wanted that to happen, Harry and Meghan, if anything, all right, could have met privately. Only their security people would know. Again, that lady is right. If Charles wanted it to happen, it could have happened. We, as the people, don't have to know about it. Okay? And the Bev lady is so vile to Meghan. I mean, she repeats non-lies, but in this one single moment, she is correct, but she is trash otherwise. Okay, King Charles already knows it's his choice to see or not to see grandkids. Okay, I'm assuming GK grandkid. He is comfortable with not seeing them. Is the talking head who knows King Charles' decision to not see his grandkids reflects poorly on him. So like the psycho friend they are, they make excuses as to why King Charles decided to never see his mixed grandkids. You know what I'm thinking as I'm editing this video? What the establishment is trying to do, okay? The ones who keep public record for historic purposes, they probably do not want a picture of the king, similar to when Archie was born. They don't want a picture for the historic purposes of the kids with Charles, the king. All right, they probably do not want any of that. But if Harry and Meghan and whatnot want a private picture for themselves, they probably have it. But for historical purposes, the establishment probably do not want that. That's what I'm thinking. Because the way these groups of people are trying to pull society into rejecting mixed race, black, brown skin, and things like that, they're trying to pull away from that. They want only theirs to be the norm. So they probably do not want what do you call this? An official picture of Harry's kids with the king. That's what I think. Okay? But whatever. If Charles wanted, it could have happened, similar to what the lady said. The way they always try to justify the unjustifiable, and it was never about Spare, because Charles publicly criticized his own parents in a book. Okay, so instead of reporting, they're discussing their royal fantasies. LOL. That's a good point. All right, after this, that's it. OMG, why? Harry is probably transit from being in Ukraine and Meghan is in California, take care of their children. They are not focused on what Chucky and Cozilla are doing. Just keep the Sussex's name out of your toxic GB News mouths. Okay, so that's that. Let's move on. The lady is right. Okay, but then again, with what I've just said, it probably could happen and nobody's reporting it. It could be just privately. But these people, they can't keep it quiet. They would have easily said it. Make it public anyway. The same way I think I've said in past videos when Harry went to Ukraine and then all of a sudden you're seeing things of what the other brother was doing. Okay, I read a comment in that particular video and I posted on my community board whatever William was doing. So they probably knew Harry was gonna be in Ukraine and then they quickly set up William to do his thing so they could do the comparison. The media want friction. They want friction and they do not know even people you tell secrets to. All right, the secret does not stay secret with these people. If you want something to be truly a secret, you keep it to yourself. But anyway, only 4 phones up to catch the glimpse of the 2 visitors. You can see majority are there as a job. Just saying, 33 seconds. This guy, I've seen him a lot. I guess it's one of the top security for the crown, I guess. All right, so let's see. All right, let's watch. Okay, I'm muting it for copyright purposes. So there's one of the phone. She looked like one of those news people thing. What's her name? She used to be on CNN, like late 1990s, early 2000. I forgot her name. There's Charles here. Who is she talking to over here? I don't know. Oh, who is he talking to? Okay, it's playing over. I can't. Oh, let's look at the lady again with the phone. Can I see it? Let's start over. Her. Yes, she's a news person. I forgot her name. I think that's her. Oh, god damn, I can't remember. She used to have her own show, the one that I'm thinking of, but I could be 100% wrong. I can't remember her name. All right, oh dear, I hope Trump can stay awake. What a depressing thought. Very much so. Literally, there's nothing exciting about them. Some of those people are from Trump's cabinet. I see Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary. These are media commentators and White House aide, not the public. How very lackluster. This lady in particular, I think she is a new reporter or something. But she used to have her, the one that I'm thinking of. Let me see something. I can't find the name. I can't find her face in some of the search that I put. So let's leave that alone. I don't want to waste too much time. But I think she is a reporter. Next tweet. Okay, so there's this here. I think I'm done with the trolls kind of thing. This should have been probably in video too, but let's see here. What would you do if you were to meet the Queen of the UK? Some of you have met Queen Meghan. Feel free to share your thoughts. Okay, 1 minute and 6 seconds.
In the first 19 days of April, the Daily Mail published 70 stories with Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, as the hook for the story on its website. On one day, between 5 a.m. and 3 p.m., it published a story on her every 2 hours. And the following day, it published 3 stories about her in 12 minutes.
Wow.
And these are all details that I talk about in my latest article for the New World magazine about Daily Mail's, as the headline says, the Daily Mail's dangerous obsession with Meghan. What do you think? I think it is obsessed, and interestingly, the response to this article being posted on X has been a load of people equally obsessed with saying horrible things about a woman they don't know. So yeah, an interesting one.
No.
But if you just come here to see Brode, here he is, all snuggled up
His dog.
in a circle shape.
Alright, so there's that. She is a breath of fresh air, and that old musty racist institution. I will just give her the biggest hug ever. Alright, next tweet. Alright, this should have been on video too, but let's leave it alone. Okay, so that should have been right after the other one. Buffoons, all of them. What are they pointing at? I saw this, I thought I added. Is that a millipede crawling toward Chucky's foot? There's the laugh. Oh, there's something there. But whatever it is, they're all looking down. Let me pause this. Okay. Oh, how I wish I was good at Photoshop. The possibilities are endless. What is going on with Melania's feet? What is wrong with her feet? A lot of veins? Let me leave that alone. All right. LBC regarding King Charles. That last tweet that was making reference to Meghan should have been further down. He needs to prove he's on the right side of history. Please. These people have been repeating the same thing over and over again. Then he's not going to prove nothing. If not, probably the talk of the town to further seal more documents. So, these people needs to understand. King Charles looked like he's evading Epstein victims, says Vinaho, who was trafficked by the financier in 2000. Oh, she was one of the victims. Okay. All right, let's see here.
This isn't going to go away. We're not going to remain silent. We will continue speaking out. If he sat on the right side of history, encouraged his brother and Peter Mandelson to volunteer and testify before Congress and tell us what they saw. It doesn't mean it's an admission of guilt. That would show that he's taking action. That would show that he's a powerful king. Right now, it just seems to me and the others that he's just evading. This isn't going to go away. We're not going to remain.
Starting over. All right, so I don't want to discredit her voice. It seems like after reading the caption, she was trafficked. So she has the right to tell her side of the story. And whatever she feels that needs to be done. So I'm not going to dismiss that. But these people, these men, so far we have not seen any justice. None whatsoever. So if anything, Charles over there is probably in the US is probably gonna try to convince Trump, probably destroy whatever he has left. The only thing we could probably hope for, if there are some good, decent people who have hands on those files, to keep it safe, keep a copy of those files safe somewhere until there's a real well-minded administration. But right now, the same corruption. All right, let's continue. I'm not going to go in the comments. All right. May these women find justice. All right, next tweet. All right. So I'm completely done with, I think I'm done with the Charles thing. Racism and race were definitely invented by white people to oppress black people, and it started during the fall of the Moors period in Europe. All right, 1 minute and 33 seconds.
People invented race to justify their oppression of the African people and their descendants, as well as to justify their mistreatment of the indigenous American tribes. So racism is always the aggressor. Race-based violence starts and ends with white people. Entirely different is bias. It's possible for a black person to be biased against a white person. It's defensive bias, though, because again, white people started and continued it to present day. So a black person not liking a white person or not trusting a white person on the basis that they're white is not racism. It's defensive bias based on 400 years of dehumanization and history and trauma that has not been atoned for. No reparations have been made. No apologies have been given by the majority of white people. Most white people will tell you, I didn't do it, so I'm not responsible. I've never been racist to a black person. Why do they hate me on the basis of my skin color? That's racist. No, that's smart. Every time black people have tried to create their own communities, white people have come in and ruined it and destroyed it. We've stolen everything they've ever tried to build for themselves. Black creativity and culture is the most plagiarized and least accredited phenomenon in the world. To this day, everyone steals from the black community and their creativity and their artists. It's not TikTok slang, it's AAVE, it's Ebonics. You look stupid. It's not yours. It's not ours, it's theirs. It's not ours, it's theirs. White people invented race to justify their...
You know, when I see a young white person making sense like this, we still have hope. Okay, he understands the foundation of what is being done to black people. All right, kudos to him. I'm not gonna go in the comment. Let's move on. Next tweet. He is right. And when you look at, when you hear people saying that whatever invention that have been created by black people and things like that, and some white people are being offensive, oh, they didn't do this, they didn't do that, which goes back to that video I just shared with you. They were stolen from other people. But when you sort of think about it, in our time right now, many of the things that it's like white people don't even have time to create. They have more time to destroy. Perfect example. Look what happened in the Middle East. Completely flattened. So many histories and ideas and so many things have been done. Literally erased. Next one. Black people or Earth. Let's listen to this.
All right, racists, let's talk about the truth. There is so much discourse lately about who is native and who is indigenous, and even the nerve to bring up who is the architect of soul food. And what everyone needs to understand is that black people are the Earth. Black people are the only unmutated humanity. They told you humans came from Africa like it was a migration story, but that's not the truth. The truth is, Africa is the first face of the Earth, and blackness is the source of all biology. Everyone else? Genetic drift, mutational echo, survival glitches adapted to ice and exile. Let's talk origins. The black woman is the womb of the world. Forget the Eve in the garden story. That was a stolen metaphor. The real Eve lives in the woman's mitochondria. And not just any women. Melanin-rich, thick-hipped, thick-lipped, and copper-toned. Elegant, poised, literally perfect, planet-rooted black women. White women don't carry the full ancestral genome. Asian, Mexican, and Native women only carry fragments. Black women carry the total code. She doesn't reproduce diverse diversity. She births the whole species. When small African offshoot groups migrated north, they weren't evolving. They were mutating, adapting to survival, not thriving. That's where lighter skin, narrow nostrils, reduced melanin, and behavioral changes began. All signs of environmental stress, not superiority. You don't get white by evolving, you get white by forgetting the sun. And that forgetting is not advancement, it's progression. The white genome contains 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA. Let me repeat, they didn't just descend from humans. They were cavemen. Black people have 0 Neanderthal admixture. That's not a joke. That's biology. Black people are the originals. Non-black people are the remix. The problem is, the remix decided to express its evil nature by attempting to erase the original track. Let's talk indigenous. The term indigenous was invented by settlers to decide who was native enough to be managed, named, and displaced. But indigenous is a political term, not a genetic one. And political terms can't overwrite blood memory. Being first on the continent does not make you first on the planet. However, black people being first on the planet means they are first on every continent.
That's right.
The black genome is Earth's source code. Everyone else is just running a copy of their biological operating system. The war against black genetics is a war against humanity. Melanin isn't pigment, it's the processor. It's the molecule that translates solar energy into life. Plants have it, animals have it, humans need it. Black people have the highest concentration of it, which means black people don't just live on Earth, they translate it. They are not just a race, they are the root species. Black isn't a color, it's the motherboard. Every other group, adaptations, mutations, and mistakes. This isn't supremacy. This is truth. Black people didn't come from Africa. Africa came from black people.
There was a video that I saw regarding the Epstein file. I don't think I shared this. I might have, but I saw the video where one of those Epstein peoples, I don't know, it's from the files. I don't know if any relation with Epstein or anything like that, but it was coming out from the Epstein files that were shared on Twitter. These young women, I think most of them were black. There were about, the most I would say 6 women, and these guys, about 2 or 3 guys, were asking them for something. I forgot what it was, but the most disgusting thing that I remember from that whole conversation is that they wanted the women's, think of this, it's very disgusting. If you're a woman, you'll know how disgusting is this. Their period, the blood from their period, they wanted that blood from these black women. Okay? And I think they were asking these women to do some stuff. I don't remember what it was. But that whole conversation, I remember hearing from these guys where they wanted the blood from their menstrual cycle, how precious their blood menstrual cycle is. They want it. So there's something they know that they want. All right, so that's that. What makes you think you're the best person to present this? Laughing my ass off. There's no like, but there's 6 comment. I'll come back to this. Okay, it's true. Black people are the Earth original people. We are the source code. The Human Genome Project proved this years ago. Look it up. Okay, so let me go into that. Do your research and prove him wrong? Simply, if not, shut the F up. So because he's gay. Oh, I don't even know if he's gay. Alright. He tells the truth. That's what gives him approval, unlike many others. Why not, Greg? Alright, so let's leave that alone. Let's move on. Alright, this is my last one for this video regarding CBS and the Trump situation thing here. I'm not gonna go in the comment because this is a topic I have raised in past videos. So let's hear this part here. Massive bombshells on CNN. Axios senior media reporter Sarah Fisher exposed how CBS parent company literally paid Donald Trump a $16 million settlement and canceled shows just to appease his administration for regulatory merger approval. The corruption is blatant. So let me play this and then I'm done.
Can you talk about leading up to the dinner, what was going on between Trump and CBS?
It's been a long, tenuous relationship, Audie. CBS's parent company, Paramount, is seeking regulatory approval to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, which is also the parent company to CNN. And leading up to that, a lot of outsiders believe that CBS News and Paramount made certain concessions to be able to ensure that they could be in Trump's good graces to get that regulatory approval. So, for example, they settled for $16 million a $20 billion lawsuit that legal experts believe they could have won with the president. They canceled Steve Colbert's show, which they said was for financial reasons. And then they hired this woman named Bari Weiss. They acquired her website, The Free Press, and put her in charge of CBS News. And people feel like all of these moves were done to placate the administration. So then for Donald Trump to come out now on live air and bash 60 Minutes, it's a really great example of the fact that you could do everything that you want to try to game this system, to try to develop a strong relationship with the president. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it serves him to continue to call the mainstream media fake news and bash the press.
All right, this is the problem here. All right, Trump is capitalizing on every foundation that was fought for and established to create a baseline, okay? A baseline, 0-0, where there's a rule of law that if you want it, you have to oblige by that baseline. But he's trying to rig it. So it could, in order for you to be in that same level playing field, whatever he's creating as his new baseline, you have to pay him. This is a problem. This is a problem. All right? Let's say if I want to create, I don't know, a channel, a network. All right? If the government said this is the baseline to oblige for, okay, you have to operate based on that baseline. And then I have to do all that I can to get that approval based on the quality of what the government have said. But if you have to pay, yes, there could be file fee. I'm not talking about this type of things. Or you probably have to pay for to get review. I'm thinking in terms of, let's say, housing. You build a building to get your C of O, occupancy or something like that. All right, you have to call the Department of Building to come and check it to see if you following the code, this kind of thing. But if you have to pay to play, that's not good. If you have to pay to even get your feet at the door, that's not to say paying to follow the rule of law. You have to follow the rule of law no matter what. But to at least participate is not fair. And then it's not even guaranteed if you're going to be even being considered, this kind of thing. So it's almost like when I used to talk about when the palace is doing renovation. I'm like, do they have bids for any contractors to come and place a bid? It seems like the renovation is always into million, and most likely, I could be wrong on that, most likely it's one particular company that does the renovation. So I'm like, don't they put it out there, whoever is qualified and whose bid is somewhat reasonable? And but anyway, like I've said before as well, the same corruption that's in the UK is even implementing in the US to a speed fast, quadruple, really fast. And the Trump administration wants to take advantage of everything. You guys could look up into how much Trump has made since he's become president again. All right, so he's pretty much capitalized on the position. All the position that were for government where things were being done fairly. It is very sad. All right, so that's that, and I'm done with it. So please take a moment to subscribe, like, and share. If you want to support this channel, there's a PayPal link and a Cash App link in the description. You could donate. Those who have donated, thank you. Now, once you're done with this video, go on PYTE. This is where my next video is going to be, PYTE. Okay, I'll be over here. And my next video, we're going to cover Meghan. My first video on that particular, my next video will be this. All right. So go on that channel and subscribe. So the squad started with this 30 seconds. All right. So that is it. Thank you for watching.
It is a great privilege to be with all of you today.
You know, we ask for forgiveness and please come back.
As you saw me find the love and happiness that I'd hoped for all my life. You are all in this together, and if I may speak personally,